So I'm going to say this at the start because I can't remember if I nailed this down yesterday or not. But I did nail down the rest of my schedule for this week. Um, there will not be a stream tomorrow night. I'll be out or not out. I'll be busy. Thursday, I wasn't thinking of streaming. Friday, I wasn't going to be able to stream because I'm also going to be out Friday night. So there's a chance that tonight would be the last stream until Saturday. Now, when I say that out loud, I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily like that. So there's a chance I might try to sneak something in Thursday during the day. I just can't guarantee it. So schedule-wise, before I forget to say it tonight, I might not be back on until like Saturday. Again, when I say it out loud, I don't necessarily like the sound of that. So if I can sneak something in on Thursday at some point, that'd be great. But don't bet on it. don't bet on it. How am I doing? I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Still stressed about a lot of stuff. Still stressed about some stuff. I'm gonna be making. I'm making a joke about it, but it's gonna suck because I can't divulge what it's actually about, and it's actually more of a joke. But in the next few days, I'm gonna be making a very big life change, and again, I can't talk about it or anything, so I hate to be a tease, but once I can say something about it, it'll be very funny when I reveal it, or it gets revealed somehow. But yeah, that's another form of stress. Just everything is stress. That's honestly whatever illness, I don't know if anyone else has ever had these discussions, but like, like when you think about like, oh, what's actually going to end up killing me someday, whatever illness or side effect can happen from stress, that's going to be me. I put my life upon. I put my what am I trying to say? I put my life savings on it. No, it's all good though. Stressed about a lot of stuff, but then like I said, I'm gonna be making an interesting thing later on. But yeah, no streams potentially until Saturday. So again, I guess my biggest unfortunateness about that is, I mean, it means I'm doing other things with my life, so maybe that's a good thing. But also at such a crucial time when I think of like the streams, I'm like, we're really like close to like wrapping up at least a couple games on the channel. I'm just kind of delaying everything. Things are just getting delayed. Ugh. How frustrating. How frustrating. How are you doing? How rude of me not to reciprocate the question when it is asked of me. Doing good, doing good. Love to see it. Love to. Oh my god, my ears. I always catches me off guard. Jesus Christ, sorry. I'm always not prepared for that. Just life being good. That's good to hear. I love to read it, I might be stressed, but I love reading. This will actually sound like sarcasm, but I don't mean it to be. I might be stressed, but I love reading when other people are hanging in there, surviving, doing great, thriving in their own lane, moisturized, I always say at the end, not always say, I shouldn't say I always say, at most of the end of my streams, I always say, stay safe, stay well, something along those lines. As much as as corny as it sounds to say, I very much care about generally everyone but myself. That's a problem for another day to solve. But like, I love reading that other people are doing good, Again, as corny as that sounds. Also, if I end up not being here on Thursday, happy 4th of July. Thank you so much. I'm sure if I'm not here on the 4th of July on Thursday, if I'm not streaming on Thursday, just know that I am catching up on a lot of sleep probably. And I don't know. It's not like I'm gonna like make what's 4th of July food, like hot dogs or something. I'm not gonna be doing that. Maybe spiritually. 4th of July is kind of meh. Even more than most holidays. I gotta be 100% honest. It's kind of just meh. I think the last time I did the stuff for 4th of July was like if I was in back when I was in like a relationship, and then it was like, okay, well, I don't live anywhere close to my family, so I'll spend 4th of July with like my girlfriend's family or whatever, and then it's just like drink some alcohol, have someone grill some food, and then you're whatever. Fireworks? Yeah, don't even get me started. I could not have become any more anti-fireworks over these last several years. I am so anti-fireworks. And I don't care if people think that makes me like a wet blanket or whatever. I don't even qualify with almost no benefit. There is no benefit to fireworks at this day and age, and only negatives and drawbacks. And I'm putting my foot down. If that makes me unfun, if that makes me a wet blanket, if that makes me any other unflattering adjective, so be it. You know? I bet there's a lot of people they click on the Higurashi video and they're like, I wasn't expecting some rant about fireworks. I'm here to say, you're getting a rant about fireworks, alright? But I know that's an unpopular opinion to have. I know there are diehard firework fanatics, like the crazy freaks that they are, you know? and then they're like, and then there's the other people that are like, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. There are so many bad things about fireworks. It's just like, and as I've gotten older, I've even more and more, you start learning about like the people, the animals, the environment, whatever. Just not great. People are obnoxious, and I'm always anti-obnoxious people. If there's anything you should know about me, anyone being obnoxious in general, I'm very against that. If you know your USA, Texas stereotypes, gun noise as well. Yeah, but just all around. Yeah, I would say consider yourself lucky. You've got pets that then don't care about fireworks stuff, because I've now, even in the last several years, have been around or with animals that are just, it's like just a night of torture for them. And I feel so fucking bad. I just feel so bad. But yeah. Yeah, that's, you know what? We don't even have to read Higurashi. I'll just, for the next hour and a half here, I'm just gonna talk about other things that I just find obnoxious and that we should just stop doing. Sorry. You know, I could say like, oh, I should hit the stop recording thing and then just restart the record. No. No. You click on this Higurashi video, you're getting this video. And this is funny because this is going to go up, I think, like a couple days after 4th of July. So, but here's the thing. I know my audience is the smartest audience ever, generally speaking. And I know that my audience, I cultivate an audience that has the same kind of mindset as me. So I think, if anything, I hope I'm like in an echo chamber with the audience that would click on this video and they're like, yeah, we see what you're talking about, Austin. People would be like, you're preaching to the choir. Yeah, it's exact. I feel the same way, Austin. And any dissenters and anyone who tries to tell me otherwise, I'll strike you down. To the best of my ability. This is why you click on the Higurashi videos. You get 10 minutes first of me just talking about things other than Higurashi. And that's mostly because I don't have a super long recap I just remember two things from the last stream, two important takeaway moments. Um, the first one being the classroom fight that just kept going, which was crazy. Just kept just physical things just going, happening. Teacher in sight? No teacher in sight, I mean. Yeah, sounds good. No teacher in sight for some reason. Again, absent teacher in the back rooms, probably just eating curry. Kids doing their thing, and by thing, I mean physically assaulting each other. Wonderful. Rina, I think, officially the one who is able to. Oh, I should expand a bit. So the whole point is that after this whole Shion being like, "Oh, it's the reason I don't get to see my crush is, is because Satoko is upset and needs protecting, and that's draining a lot of energy and emotional energy and time from Satoshi, who I love now. I've fallen madly in love with. And so she's like, if I could just get Satoko to stop and Satoshi to stop protecting her and having to work the jobs and everything and trying to buy him a gift and all that, then I could see him more often. She gets with her sister Mion. They switch places actually at school because she couldn't see him at baseball because he was busy with jobs, so it wasn't coming to baseball anymore. So she's like, well, how else will I see him? Well, he can't skip school. Mion, I'm going to take your place at school. Then the classroom blitz happens. Finally, Rion. You know, Mion, Shion, and Rion. Rina comes in and after a bit settles everyone down by yelling at him. Good job, Rina. Then that ends, and that kind of just sours the mood on everything. Satoshi is clearly like, this is insane. And why is Mion doing this, not knowing that it was Shion at the time? Then, the next important thing that happened in the second half of the stream on Saturday was finally Shion's reveal to Satoshi. And essentially in the village that she is there. Her name is Shion. It's not Mion this whole time. And this was brought about because she was out and about with Satoshi. And then the police force, aka Oishi, comes and corners Satoshi and says, hey, we're going to take you in for some questioning because something seems to have happened. And, oh, and there was another point at some point where, like, I guess before I go onto that tangent, there was some point where Mion and Shion were talking, and Shion was like, Mion, I can't believe you didn't have, like, an alibi ready for him, because they were both like, they know what he was going and planning to do. So that was a whole thing, and at the time, I linked it, oh, it's just like then a year later, when Mion, I think, starts creating the alibi for Kechi during his murder of the uncle, right? So again, now let's go back to the other thing. So Shion, posing as Mion, was out with Satoshi. He gets cornered by police. Oishi, we gotta take you in for questioning. And she's like, no, he was with me. And he was like, oh, your story's changing. You didn't mention him before. That was fucking Oishi talking to Mion. And then Shion, overcome with love and protection power, was like, no, it's not because I wasn't at the festival. He was with me, Shion. I'm the twin sister. And Oishi's like, oh, shit. And Satoshi was like, oh, shit. And then Mion, or I think Oishi just kind of fucks off at that point. And and Satoshi's kind of like, oh, so that's why you've been kind of weird this whole time, every time I've seen you. And he's like, oh, so you had shown up at different times. And she's like, yeah. And that's basically where we're at. So the information is out that Shion is out and about now. I assume either now or in the near future, we're going to see the repercussions of this. Because at the very start, I was saying, okay, so this chapter seems to be what's the balance between her having to keep her identity safe versus her coming out to who ended up being Satoshi about, no, I'm my own individual person and I'm into you or whatever. Because she couldn't have both, basically. And it just so happened that the Soishi encounter forced Shion's hand, or at least she felt like she had to force her hand, right? She couldn't have just, I mean, she could have. We could imagine a world where possibly, like, what if she didn't say anything? What if she didn't come out? Well, then she wouldn't have a good solid defense. She would maybe get in trouble with Oishi if she continued to, Mion. Her attempt at covering for Satoshi would just not really work if she were to continue to try to just be Mion, right? If she was just looking out for herself. So she's essentially, to boil it down, you could basically say she is putting the protection of Satoshi in front of and of more importance than her own protection from the village and her family, right? Who thinks that she should still be in school or whatever, or, not around, basically. That's what you boil it down to, and that's what the recap is. Look at that. You get 10 minutes of me ranting about fireworks. You get 7 minutes of recap of the last stream. Honestly, that's a pretty good ratio. So let's read one section. That's all we're going to be able to do. I kind of just like reading one section on Tuesdays, Especially because there's always the possibility we get one of those like really longer sections, And so we don't want to commit. And even if the first one is short, then we don't want to be like, oh, maybe we'll get the second section will be the same, length, and then fall into a trap of like a much longer one, and then we'd have to like cut. We'd have to like pick a time in the middle of the chapter, which isn't the worst thing, but I love succinct chapter endings, The cops are smart enough to separate us during questioning. Oh, they got taken in. Okay. Oishi didn't come to talk to me. His aim was Satoshi-kun and nobody else. I got a young cop who just talked about ordinary things. He must have been trying to ease me into the interrogation. When I realized that, the clumsy way he spoke began to frustrate me. Is Satoshi-kun alright? I didn't think Oishi really bought my testimony. He must have been trying to get Satoshi-kun to confess in spite of that. All I could do was pray that he'd keep quiet. The phone on the desk rang, and the cop picked it up.
Hi, Kumagai desu.
This is Kumagai.
Hi?
What?
So desu ka.
Alright.
わかりました。
I understand.
すぐに。
Right away. He hung up and told me somebody had come to retrieve me. Looked like Satoshi-kun had to stay. Were they going to continue the interrogation just because he had nobody to pick him up? Although, maybe I should have been worrying more about myself. The hag had probably heard about me by now, since I revealed my real identity to the police. I couldn't hide any longer. I was going to receive some sort of punishment. I had no idea what she'd end up doing to me. The degree of punishment for a traitor is always severe in the world of the Sonozakis. The punishment must be carried out. If it's to protect the family's reputation, it's carried out no matter what. Maybe I should kiss my pinky finger while I still can. Gonna lose her pinky finger. I asked the young cop just in case.
ねえねえ
Hey,
アメリカなんかでよく死刑囚が死刑廃止の州で捕まると引き渡さないでくれるっていう話あるじゃないですか。
did you know that in America, if a condemned criminal gets arrested in a state which has banned capital punishment, they'll refuse to surrender him to the state prosecuting him if the state hasn't banned it? Huh? Maybe it's too difficult for him. He just looked puzzled. A glossy black car was waiting for me in front of the police station. A few men from my dad's office bowed to me.
シオンさん、ご無沙汰しております。
It's been a long time, Shion-san.
葛西は
Where's Kasai? Kasai had been helping me ever since my escape from the school. They wouldn't allow him to walk free.
お姉はどうしてるの？
How's Sis doing?
何か言ってる？
Does she have something to say about this?
私たちはシオンさんを本家へお連れしろとしか言われていませんので、
We were only told to bring you to the main house.
詳しくは本家でお尋ねになってください。
Please ask her when you get there. After saying that, he escorted me into the car. A man sat on either side of me. Obviously, they didn't want me to escape. Thinking of Satoshi-kun, I looked back at the police station. Hold on tight, Satoshi-kun. I'll grin and bear it too. The car started off roughly. It was never a good occasion when I went to this house. Except when Mion and I were really small, oblivious to what the Sonozaki name meant for us. I've been here only when I had to attend boring family councils. Car parked behind the house. Traders aren't allowed in through the main gate. I got out of the car. Looked like Sis would be the only person to receive me. I almost spoke to her casually, but her cold gaze froze me before I could.
お久しぶりですね、シオン。
It's been a while, Shion.
新年以外に会えるとは思いませんでした。
Never expected to see you other than on New Year's. It gave me the chills to hear her greet me in that cold manner.
ミオン姉様こそ、ご機嫌麗しゅうございます。
It's a pleasure to see you again, Mion-sama. God, Mion is so businesslike. Is she only doing... I mean, they had discussions on the phone, and they were very cordial, you would say. So is it only because they're actually face-to-face, or is it because she's in the presence of more of the Sonozaki family, so she has to seem and act, you know, upset, tough, stuff like that?
新年以外にお顔が見れて、3問くらいの得を感じます。
I feel overjoyed to have the chance to see you, other than on New Year's. I responded, trying to sound likewise.
当主は大変ご立腹ですよ。
Our leader is deeply upset.
どう釈明されるか見ものです。
Wonder how you'll explain yourself.
私がするような釈明なんて別にないですし。
I have nothing to explain. Why does my phone keep going off? Oh, I see. Funny. Okay, I had no excuse. I'd escaped from the school solely because I couldn't stand it there. Oh yeah, I'm curious, does Shion get in trouble, or does Mion get in trouble? Do they know Mion was assisting her? Or are the two of them going to be chill about it and Shion not going to rat out Mion? I didn't even necessarily, I don't think, consider that aspect now. That's out. Interesting. That was all.
シオン、来なさい。
Shion, come this way.
皆待っています。
Everyone is waiting for you. Oh, I really hope Shion loses like a pinky or something. I don't know why I feel that, but Mion escorted me and the others followed. We went to the garden, not into the house. As we passed through the huge yard into the woods, I realized where she was taking me. When we were little, we were told never to go near these woods. I had a vague idea of what was in the back of them. I'd heard there was a hidden entrance to the underground torture room where they used to punish the enemies of the family. The more hideous rumors I heard about the family, the more credible those rumors seemed. Well, I wasn't completely certain about any of that. I never expected to see the torture room for myself. Came to a concave clearing in the middle of the woods. I saw a metal door at the bottom of it. The door reminded me of a bomb shelter.
これが噂の地下拷問室ってやつですね。
So, this is the underground torture room, huh? I was surprised to hear my own voice. My voice was trembling. It made me realize that I was more scared than I thought. Nobody answered my question. The very air felt tense. According to the family rules, one of the twins must be eliminated. Was I finally going to be eliminated? I don't know. See, part of the tension, I mean, maybe I'm expecting tension where there shouldn't be any tension, but in theory, we know nothing bad happens to Shion because we see her, I mean, we're in the past right now. We see her be a person in the earlier chapters when it was later in time, you know? Whatever. I realized I've been underestimating my punishment. I hadn't been aware of the real terror until now. I just thought I was. Beyond the steel door, the air had an intimidating smell. This really was happening to me. I shouldn't allow myself to give in to fear. It felt like saying something rude, but my lips were dry. My fingers were fidgeting. I almost said my fingers were fingering. And my fingers were fidgeting. I was escorted through the narrow hallway and down a few sets of stairs. There, I saw another huge steel door. So, this was the place. It was a spacious and... What is that noise? Jesus. It was a spacious and utterly odd-looking room. I really thought, like, the game was fucking up there. Like, the audio. It's like a weird electric sound. Like that. The room had two sections that looked completely different. One side looked like a lounge. That can't be what the music is supposed to sound like right now, right? I'm gonna turn it up real quick just so you can hear. Oh, and it's not doing it anymore though. Maybe it was supposed to sound like that. That's weird. It almost sounds like it was like a staticky noise on top of what you would normally be. Whatever. One side looked like a lounge. I guess after that one thing that happened to me during the Umineko playthrough, where like the audio fucked up so bad and it just like it broke and then was like really loud. Ever since that moment last year, now I'm just panicked about the visual novel music fucking up somehow. Getting ear blasted by like glitched music. One side looked like a lounge. I saw several high-ranking members of the family council sitting on cushions there, looking expressionless. The other half was tiled, as in a large public bath. That was already puzzling enough. And there were those things. To be honest, they had captured my attention from the moment I arrived. I noticed them even before I saw a lounge in tiled space. I just didn't want to accept that they existed. I couldn't stand straight. I almost dropped to my knees. But I couldn't. Two young men had been holding me by my arm since I got here. There were oddly shaped things hanging from the wall. I was just refusing to recognize what they were. I knew exactly what they were called. I see. I understood that those eerily shaped objects were torture devices from hell. Oh! Damned fool. How dare you return? The hag, sitting at the front of the lounge, intimidated me in a horrid voice. She kept cursing me for a little while, but she was so incensed that I could barely tell what she was saying. I knew what she was trying to say, though. The hag was willing to forgive my escape from the school, but once I revealed my identity to police, she had to step in. Since I disobeyed the family rules, she, as leader, was forced to punish me. Moreover, there was one thing that bothered her more than anything else. The fact that I covered for Satoshi-kun. The Hojo family had been seen as traitors to the village ever since the dam conflict. Satoshi-kun is still considered one of them. See, that audio does not sound right to me. She couldn't accept that I was connected to him. I'm just gonna keep harping on that. To me, this was a bit unexpected. I escaped from the school the hag had put me in. All the while, I believe that was what she was upset about. But in fact, she said that she was the most uncomfortable with my connection with Satoshi-kun. Wait, let me see this. She couldn't accept. I was so thrown off by the fucking music. Still considered one of them. She couldn't accept that I was connected to him. Okay, yeah, the Hojo family. Yeah, okay, I see. So this escape from school. Yeah. I couldn't believe this. Of course. It's a modern day fucking Romeo and Juliet type situation. Of course! I knew that Satoshi-kun's family was persecuted for their betrayal. But I didn't think that Satoshi-kun was also burdened with that responsibility.
そんなのサトシ君関係ないじゃないですか。
He has nothing to do with that.
サトシ君の親はわかるとしても、サトシ君個人には何の責任もな。
I understand that his parents are ostracized, but he shouldn't be. Shut the hell up. The hag interrupted me with a shout, which made me cower in fear. I do love this game's, when we're playing through the eyes of Shion, the insistence on using like, just to get across just how much Shion hates Oryu, constantly referring to it. It's like without always the hag. That is her. That is how she refers to her constantly. And it's like both like in dialogue to like others. I think she said it like that, but also even using it to us as the reader. You know, it's a small touch. She continued slandering the Hojos and said that Satoshi-kun was a cursed child. I started feeling pissed off. What did he do to deserve this? What was he being blamed for? It was too late when I realized I'd said that out loud. The hag looked furious. I'd obviously upset her. I decided to repeat myself to make it very clear how I felt.
Oni baba, anta nani itten no?
What are you saying, you old hag?
Damatte kiitereba iitai houdai.
Everything you've spouted is nonsense. Huh?
なんばねすったら口の利き。
Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
やかましい。しまいまで聞きなよ、鬼ババ。
Shut the fuck up! Let me finish! Damn. I shouted loudly to silence the hag.
だいたい、あんたはサトシ君の何を知ってるの？
What the fuck do you know about Satoshi-kun?
サトシ君のことをよく知りもしないくせに、まるで彼を害虫みたいに言い捨てて。
How can you talk about him like he's some pest when you don't know anything about him?
サトシ君がどんなにいい人か、私はよく知っている。
I know how sweet he is.
彼が北条だからいけないの？
You don't like him because he's a hojo?
バッカみたい。
How fucking stupid is that?
時代錯誤も甚だしい。
Is even your brain archaic or what?
園崎の私が北条のサトシ君と一緒にいたのがそんなにも不愉快なの？
I mean, obviously, Shion has had some stumbles here in this chapter, but at least good on her for, like, you know what? She's like I said, she is kind of, and I think this was kind of revealed through earlier part of this chapter where, like, she's very much like, she got out of that school, she's living a life when really she should have been killed at birth almost. Like, she's kind of has this, what's the phrase or word I'm looking for? Like, not can't care attitude, but like, it's like, whatever. It's everything or bust kind of like situation. Like, oh, that's the phrase I think I used earlier. Playing with house money, where basically she knows she shouldn't be even up to this point. It's kind of a miracle in a sense that she's even gotten to this point. And now she's here facing Oryu head on, yelling at her, even though she's the one who is being summoned to get punished by this allegedly, I say it's kind of a joke, but powerful, ruling family member of this whole village. And she's just a kid, and she's young back, you know? It's something. It's something. How fucking stupid is that? Is even your, where that? You hate the fact that someone is actually with a hojo that much?
くったらないくったらないバッカみたい。
That's not just stupid, that's beyond stupid.
こんな安っぽい色味処理を自分で体験できるなんて思わなかったな。
Boy, I never expected to feel like Juliet. Hey, I said that. Ah ha 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 ha. My voice became hoarse from shouting. My face was messy with tears. Even so, it didn't feel like putting a stop to my emotional explosion. I was all too aware that I was doing this just to overwhelm my fear. The hag was glaring at me while breathing heavily. I glared back at her as fiercely as I could. Eventually, I realized that her sticking point was my relationship with Satoshi-kun. She wasn't only upset that I had a mere connection with him.
そっか。ミオンがそういう告げ口をしたわけか。
I see. Looks like Mion mentioned that too. It was as though Mion was wearing a mask. She didn't budge under my penetrating glare. That was what the hag was really unhappy about. The fact that I was in love with Satoshi-kun. Ah
確かに私、自分が園崎家だとか、サトシ君が北条家だとか、そんなの全然興味ないし、園崎家のメンツがとか、世間体がどうとか、全然関心ありません。
I don't give a shit about his family background or my own.
認めますよ、認めます。
Yeah, I'll admit that I'm in love with him.
私は北条サトシ君が好きです。
I love Satoshi Hojo-kun.
彼のことが大好き きです。
I love him so much.
それっていけないこと？
Is that so wrong?
人が人を好きになるのに何か理由が必要？
Do you need a reason to love somebody? I could see the relatives shaking their heads in turmoil. Among them, I saw my mom. She must have been trying to protect me. But even she wouldn't look at me. Instead, she looked silently at the floor.
後ろのあんたたちも聞こえてるでしょ？
Did you guys in the back hear me?
私おかしいこと言ってる？
Am I wrong?
あんたたちだってサトシ君をよく知れば、彼がどんなに素敵な男の子で私が好きになるのがおかしくないことがすぐにわかる。
You know how sweet Sachi-kun is in an instant if you bothered to get to know him.
なのになんで相手の人格も知ろうとしないで一方的に。
How can you put him down without... Mion held out a hand to silence me. Then, she slowly walked in my direction.
もう結構です、シオン。
That is enough, Shion.
あなたの言い分と覚悟はよくわかりました。
I understand what you wanted to say. Mion put her head close to mine and whispered.
シオンの覚悟はよくわかったよ。
Shion, I know how you feel.
でもここまで言い切っちゃったら、誰にももうかばえない。
But you can't go back after coming this far.
シオンがけじめをつけてみせるしかない。
You have to pay for what you did.
けじめ？
What did I do?
なんで私が？
Why me?
私がなんでそんなバカな？
That's ridiculous.
シオン、
Shion. Mion's face turned cold again. She calmly told me.
あなたの言う個人の理屈は多分正し
You're probably right.
い。でもね、
But
あなたも理解していると思うけど、ここはひなみ沢で、私たちは園崎家なの。
this is Hinamizawa, and we are Sonozakis, as I'm sure you understand.
御三家の末席で、今や事実上のひなみ沢の筆頭家。
We are the leaders of the three families.
そしてあなたは仮にも、園崎家次期当主である園崎美音の双子の妹。
And you are the twin sister of the successor, Mion Sonozaki.
それが、
Yet, I interrupted her.
あんたとはこっちに帰ってからどうもそのあたりの話が食い合わないですね。
We haven't agreed on that matter ever since I came back.
大人の事情みたいなことばっか。
You're full of this reputation shit.
ひなみ沢？
Hinamizawa?
園崎家？
The Sonozakis?
だから何？
So what?
私はそんなの全然興味な。
I don't give a fuck about.
聞きなさい。
Listen. Mion interrupted me just like I did her.
シオンは今日まで沖宮で生活するにあたって、
How
どれ
many,
だけの人の世話になってる？
how many people did you depend on to start your new life in Okinomiya? Chill shot through my spine.
葛西さん、奥の牢屋にいる。
Kasai-san is in the cell at the back.
なんで葛西が？
Why Kasai? Kasai? I knew why, of course. The moment I got caught, those who helped me were destined to meet the same fate. We were all subject to the punishment of betrayal. Maybe my punishment would be lighter than what they'd be going through. Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro must have been treated much worse than this. Everybody who helped me was falling victim.
シオンがどういう目にあっても、シオン本人は覚悟があるからいいだろうけど、
I know that you're prepared for your punishment.
お世話になった葛西さんや吉郎おじさんがどうなるかまでは考えが及ばない？
But have you ever thought of the consequences that Kasai-san and Uncle Yoshiro will have to face? My head rapidly cooled down. My aggression was all used up. I should be able to bear whatever punishment they'd bring on me. But I resented the fact that I'd be putting the people who supported me at risk.
シオン、
Shion,
ばっちゃんに謝って、
apologize to Granny.
けじめをつけてみせれば、シオン一人だけの話で全部済む。
If you do, the others won't have to suffer.
誰にも迷惑をかけない。
Alright?
でもミオン、
But Mion,
私間違ったこと言った？
did I really do something wrong?
そんなにも悪いことした？
Was any of what I did that bad? The moment Mion learned that I wasn't willing to apologize, her expression turned cold again. She turned her back to me and returned to the lounge. I talked back to the hag in a really harsh manner. I told her that I didn't do anything wrong, yet I had involved many people to who I owed so much. It went without saying, this was my responsibility. I was the sole person to blame, and no fault lay with them. Yes, Kasai and Yoshiro-san were blameless, just as Satoshi-kun was. But then, as if she read my mind, Mion turned around and gave a slight nod. It was possible that something was going to happen to Satoshi-kun. On top of Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro.
待っておね
Wait, sis! It can't happen. Satoshi-kun, nobody else should be punished. Please forgive them.
何ですか、シオン。
What is it, Shion? Tears rolled down my cheeks. I no longer cared about my pride.
ごめんなさい
See, she's only, just like as I was saying earlier, especially during the recap, right? She is willing to, for Satoshi-kun, she revealed herself, took away the protection layer that she had. She's willing to sacrifice basically her life that she was building for herself, for Satoshi. Here, the thought, even just the thought of Satoshi facing some repercussions for her actions, she's like, oh shit, fine, I will apologize. I'll immediately swallow my pride, you know? She's so in love with this guy. This fool. She says, I'm sorry.
私が間違っていました
I was wrong.
許してください当主様
Please forgive me. I should have said what the hag wanted to hear. Yet, she still looked unsatisfied. Maybe that wasn't too surprising. I just denounced her so badly in front of the relatives. She wouldn't forgive me so easily. Just then, Mion spoke as a successor.
ではシオン、
So, Shion,
どうやってけじめをつけるつもりです？
how do you propose to pay for this?
けじめってどうすれば
Pay? What do you want me to do? Nothing could be scarier than being told to pay up while standing next to horrid-looking torture devices. I was completely terrified. I couldn't move from trembling. Mion saw that and whispered to our grandmother. The hag nodded. Mion summoned some young minions and gave them an order. They removed one of the torture devices hanging on the wall, then set a table in front of me and the device on top. Then set a table in front of me and put the device on top of it.
何これ
What is this?
爪を剥ぐための道具です。
No! What? It's a tool for removing fingernails.
使い方はわかります？
Do you know how to use it?
わかるわけ
N-
ないでしょ
No way. I shook as I stared at the tool. It looked like a giant nail clipper. You probably put the part that looks like a beak between your fingers and fingernail, pulling them apart if you squeeze the handle. Oh god, that's gross to even read. I don't like it. The chills ran up and down my spine when I imagined that.
爪1枚ずつでシオンがかけた迷惑のそれぞれのけじめとします。
Each fingernail represents one of your responsibilities.
園崎シオン、
Shion Sonozaki.
どの指でも構いません。
No matter which ones you chose.
自らの手で3枚の爪を剥がしてみせなさい。
No matter which ones you choose, you must remove 3 nails yourself. 3? One for Kasai, one for Uncle Yoshiro, and the last for Satoshi-kun. It's a fairly reasonable number.
本当にそれで他の人は許してくれるんですか
Will you really not punish the others?
約束して
Promise me.
私がちゃんと自分の爪を剥げたら他のみんなは許すと約束して
Please let them go if I do this.
これはあなたのけじめであって取引ではありませんよ。
This is a punishment, not a negotiation.
この方法が気に入らないなら
If you don't like the procedure,
やるから待って
I'll do it.
待ってよやるからやるから
Just give me a second. I'm doing it. I put the device to my little finger while shaking badly. I'm trying to think. What if you have? I guess you could. She's working probably with both hands, right? What 3 fingernails would you want to remove? Do you think it matters? Do I have to think that? Do I think like the pinky or the thumb would be less or more sensitive? I have no idea what I don't know what the thought process would be. I don't even know, dude. I'm looking at my fingernails right now, and I'm just like... just imagine a device, like, ripping... Oh, my God. Even... I'm not even exaggerating. Stating what I was about to say. Like, ripping... Like, a device that separates the nail from the... It's just... Yeah, it's so rough, dude. Torture. Not fun. I always say, if I was any form of torture, I know my limitations. I'm a weak person. If I was... Maybe not the best thing to, like, be putting this out into the universe on a recorded video, because, like, then I'm just leaving myself vulnerable for something like this happening. If I was being tortured, you could get anything out of me. Sadly. Any form of torture, I would crumble. I'm weak like that. I'm weak when it comes to torture. I think not only is the act of the torture something, but there's something to my brain, like, where my brain goes, you can immediately have whatever's happening to you stop if you just give them whatever they want. I'm a weak person. That's why I should not be trusted, you know, state secrets. Or any secrets, really. If you don't tell me any secrets. I'm really good at keeping secrets. Unless I was being tortured. So if you're as a person want to tell me a secret, and you say don't say this to anyone, promise. You gotta promise at me. I will not say that to anyone. I hold on to that promise, honestly. Until I start getting tortured. Then all bets are off. If I start getting tortured, I'll give up secrets. That's just how it is, sadly. Any kind of torture. Anything. If my fingernail was shorter, it would have been harder. The metal beak captured my little finger beautifully. The subordinates then stabilized my left hand with a different restraining tool. That seemed reasonable because my finger would slip out of it if it weren't restrained like that. As the subordinates buckled up the leather straps, I realized that this was really happening, and there was no escape. Somewhere in my mind, I've been thinking that they might forgive me after just the gesture alone. I shouldn't have been so naive. The emotions I've been holding back appeared in the forms of tears and kept rolling down my cheeks. It was like my feelings were being squeezed out until the very last drip. Something even more horrifying followed this. It was a silence that awaited my next action. I don't want to hear her screaming when she does this to herself. So, what should I do now? One of the subordinates pointed to the handle, told me to either squeeze it or hit it. He recommended that the latter would be easier to make it quick. Oh, God. Nobody said anything after that. There was nothing to hear but the sound of my sweat dripping onto the floor. The onlookers were staring at me silently, waiting for me to execute my punishment. Both the hag and Mion. They were also anticipating it. I could refuse, but that meant I wouldn't be paying up. This punishment exists to offer payment in exchange for the safety of those who helped me. If I refused, they would suffer. I started breathing heavily. I knew that if I did this, the others would go free. This was, if you thought about it, quite a good deal. If it weren't me, it wouldn't be just 3 fingernails. If it were Kasai, he would have to sacrifice his little finger or something even worse. I knew that. It was my selfish desire to get away from that school. Why did Kasai have to suffer because of that? I knew that. Why did Uncle Yoshiro have to suffer just because he provided me with a job? I knew that the hag and the other Altos still hated the Hojos, so I didn't know what they would do to Sachikun if I didn't do this. Wouldn't they bring Sachikun here and tell him to do the same? Would they tell him to remove his fingernails in exchange for forgiving me? He'd do it. He'd sacrifice himself with no hesitation in order to save others. My sweat dripped onto the table through my nose. I read that? Yeah. Through my nose, yeah. I'd do it. Yes. It was only 3 fingernails. It might hurt a lot, but I wouldn't die. Fingernails would grow back. It wouldn't even leave a huge scar. I shouldn't be afraid. Punishment was minimal because it was me. If I refused to do this, the others would be punished much more severely. I couldn't let that happen to Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Satsushi-kun. I was the only one who should be punished. So I just needed to bear the pain. I wasn't just breathing heavily anymore. I was also moaning faintly, ready to scream at any moment. That's right, make it quick. This wasn't torture, so I didn't have to prolong the Excuse me, hiccup there. Didn't have to prolong the moment of pain. I should do it in one swift blow. That way, my pain and fear would be minimized. I raised my right arm. Quickly. Pain would be lessened if I did it in one stroke. It'd be much more painful if I messed it up. Does she have to do it? Is it 1 fingernail at a time, or does this device have all 3, like, hooked up? I would assume it's probably 1 at a time, unfortunately. Because if you had the option, I would bet you would, especially with, like, you having to do it to yourself, like, you'd want it all 3 done, get it over with. But this one, boom, 1 done, ooh, it hurts. Boom, you gotta do it 2 more times after that, and you know the pain. That's the worst part. When you know what the pain is coming. Just like how I would never want to be tortured, I also finding it hard to read and a scene where a character is being tortured. I remember having to read, oh fuck, what was the book called? In high school. I had to read in my AP World History class, where my teacher was gone most of the year due to being pregnant, and I think she just didn't want to teach anymore, so she was kind of just like done. She was so mentally checked out. But yeah, AP World History I took in like 10th grade or something, and we read a book. We were assigned a book, and it was a book just basic. Fuck, I forget what the title was. I should remember it, and I probably still have a copy somewhere. But it was all about a person being tortured, and it was just a book. A full-on book, chapter and chapter and chapter about a dude getting tortured, and it was just like, why am I reading this? I remember being a high school kid and being like, even then I was like, probably unsurprising to then tell you that I don't think I read most of that book. I actually, you know, at different points in high school, like, I mean, I guess it's not a problem to admit it. During in high school, especially high school, I very much was not very disciplined when it came to, like, assignments being assigned to me. Reading assignments, homework assignments, stuff like that. I was just very, not disciplined, not caring, I guess. Whatever. Despite me thinking, and probably am more categorized under the smarter spectrum of kids that, you know, filter through the American school system. Unsurprising maybe to admit, but I just didn't have that, like, dedication or the drive or the focus even. Most likely focus. I'm going to be 100% honest. Brain chemistry and all that, to really, like, get things done. But it was definitely around that time where I was, like, assigned that book, and then I was like, I'm going to read it. I remember getting, like, several chapters in, and then me just being like, I cannot read the rest of this like this. Brutal, dude. Brutal. And I didn't, what I said earlier, not to sound like I'm bragging about being the smart thing. I'm just saying, as far as, like, it's that thing where if I actually tried, sure, I would have, like, amazing, you know, high school grades. But, like, I was very much, even in high school, just like, none of this is worth it. Like, in my head, I was rationalizing, like, I could try really hard and get A's, or barely put any effort and get be C's and be fine. No one cares about high school. No one should care about high school. There's, I should rephrase that. A very few select people should probably care about high school if that's what their life is going to become. Other than that, it's totally fine. I still went to university, so it doesn't even matter. You know? You know? Alright, so Shion says, ha. Oh, she's just breathing. She's not to go on another tangent again. Oh, there's that weird audio. I held my breath. I felt as if my body was frozen. I was choking. There's like a running water noise and then that electrical noise. It almost feels like, what, is she being put into a tub and they're gonna throw a toaster in there to, like, shock her as a form of torture? That's what it sounds like is happening. It's like disrupting to read with that audio. I felt as if my body's frozen. I'm about to, like, take my own headphones out. I was I was joking. The chills crept up my spine. Don't be afraid, Shion. Fingernails are just a tiny fraction of the whole body. Just 1 square centimeter. I could do this. I could bear it. I smacked my right hand onto the handle of the device. Ah! I sensed a noise through my body instead of through my ears. At the same time, I felt a pain I'd never experienced before. A moment later, the pain pulsated with my heartbeat. I clenched my teeth. I felt like my teeth were cracking. I tightly shut my eyes until my eyeballs got squeezed up. The pain wouldn't fade. Rather, it swelled with my blood pressure. I felt as though it was bloating like a balloon. Timidly, I opened my eyes. I found that my little finger wasn't really drenched in blood. It was bleeding, but not much. Certainly not enough to explain how much it hurt. My fingernail was open just like the hood of a car. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was overwhelming. It occurred to me that I'd only done 1 out of 3. Did I have to repeat this 2 more times? Did I have to remove the nails from my ring and middle fingers as well? I looked at the hag and at Mion, begging for mercy. But they were just silently staring at me, as if the show had only just begun. I saw no hint of mercy in their eyes. They wouldn't be changing their minds. Since they said 3, it had to be 3. They wouldn't forgive me until I removed 2 more fingernails.
ミオこれで許して
Mion, look, isn't this enough?
あのね
It really hurts.
本当に痛いのすごく痛いんだよ
It really hurts. You know that?
私の顔を見ればわかるよね
You see that in my eyes, don't you?
本当にさ痛くて
It really hurts. Mion answered, still wearing a cold look.
シオン
Shion,
もう無理
you can't keep going? She didn't mean that it was sufficient. What she meant is that the others would have to take the remaining punishment if I didn't. I knew that. I really did know.
やれるよ
I'll do it.
こんなの全然楽勝だって
This is easy.
このサディストどもが
You sadists. Huh.
こんなの怖くないこんなの痛くない
This doesn't scare me. This doesn't hurt. Ah. I quickly moved the metal beak and set it on my ring finger. Yeah, at this point, you just got to get the other 2 done quickly. If you can set the speed that you do them, do these 2 almost back to back, so it's just 1 big pain, and smacked it with no hesitation. Instead of making it quick, maybe I was just rushing out of fear. I'd messed up. The torture torts. Oh no, I had clipped just the tip of my fingernail. No, can't get sloppy. The pain, however, was equal. I couldn't believe I'd only chipped it. Ugh. Did I have to do it again? Did I have to continue removing the nail from my ring finger? How much pain again? Again?
シオン
Shion. No. I don't want to do it. I couldn't bear it anymore. I started crying shamelessly. I can't take it anymore. It's too painful. Forgive me, please. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. They didn't seem to hear my voice. It felt as though there was an invisible barrier between us. They showed no mercy. They were just here to witness the ritual. This ritual. So, rather than sympathetic, they looked amazed by my screw-up. Man walked up to me and whispered to my crying face,
シオン
Shion,
あとちょっとだから頑張って
there's just a bit more to go. Hang in there. No, 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 no! I can't do this. It really hurts. It really does. Mion shook her head, then signaled the subordinates. They came from behind me. They covered my head with something like a knit cap. It was a blindfold. One of them pinned me in a Nelson hold, restricting my movement. No, stop it! No! I couldn't overpower the guy behind me. This is tough to read. Then I felt something strange on my left hand. The other guy was doing something with the torture tool. He put the metal beak between my ring finger and its fingernail. Oh god, no! Mom, help me! Mom! My left hand was fixed in the restraint, so I couldn't put up much protest anyway. But even that left hand was pressed down by his rough palms until it hurt, robbing it of the freedom even to tremble. They had no hesitation. Oh no. I don't like that sound effect. It was made very clear to me how merciless people could be. Robbed of my vision, all I could do was clench my teeth against the pain assailing me. This is kind of, I mean, I don't want to get into the minutia of torture and torture tactics here, but it's kind of interesting that she started it. She's then feeling so much pain. She's like, I can't do it. The threat against her not doing it being the other people that assisted her would suffer. And I would assume part of the torture and part of the lesson, in theory, that she's supposed to be learning here is doing it to herself, right? So it's very interesting that she's like screaming. She's like, I can't do it. It's too much pain. And then they just choose to blindfold her and force her to do it by the others, these men or whatever, the subordinates, I guess they're being called, to like do it to her. Like, I'm surprised that they're willing to be like, fine, we'll just do it for you, when part of the difficulty in this punishment is supposed to be like doing it to yourself, you know? Again, not to get into too much torture tactics. I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything. This is why I don't run a family like this. Some kind of like criminal family thing. Go back to my whole thing I was talking about torture a little while ago. Not only would I not want to be on the receiving end of torture, I don't think I could. I know how bad I would crumble to any kind of torture. I don't think I could assign torture to anyone. So if that takes me out of the running for running an all-powerful family in some village, then so be it. Robbed of my vision, all I could do was clench my teeth against the pain assailing me. If there was anything I was thankful for, it was that he was well practiced and ripped off both of my fingernails cleanly. Pain and screaming might induce narcotic chemicals in the brain. While screaming, I started losing consciousness. Great. Great. Oh, that was a great little stretch of reading. Oh, I feel great about that. Ooh. I'm shaking my head now. That was tough. I woke up. My memories were missing. Couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I held my head with both hands. Now I'm really curious. I maybe feel like I should know the answer to this question. But I wonder if, okay, the punishment took place. Does that then, like, she can't be tried again? If she was to hang back out with Satoshi, could she be like, I already paid for the punishment, it's fine? Or is it's gonna happen again if she's caught with him again? I assume the latter is the case, but, like, part of me wants to be like, hey, I'll pay for my punishment and then I can't be tried again for this, you know? It'd make it hurt a little less, maybe. My memories were missing. I couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I held my head with both hands. My left hand was bandaged. The fingers that had their nails removed had swollen like hot dogs. Ugh. I paid with those 3 fingernails for what I did. The hag had said something after the punishment, but I didn't remember any of it. I was taken to a hospital in Okinomiya. The car shook on the way, adding extra pain on top of what I already felt. Somebody gave me some aspirin. They worked just like they said on TV, but they didn't last more than 10 minutes. I swallowed the pills without water. While I was spacing out in the waiting lounge, Kasai showed up. He probably came to check if I was alright. I obviously wasn't. He must have understood that from my bandaged left arm dangling from my shoulder. Kasai, on the other hand, looked just fine. At least on the outside. I was relieved that my sacrifice had meant something. Kasai didn't say anything. I couldn't tell if he wanted to tell me something or not because he looked so emotionless.
Kasai?
Kasai?
なんでしょう?
Yes? He paused shortly before answering. I could tell he was upset. I didn't regret revealing my true identity in order to protect Satoshi-kun, but I hadn't wanted Kasai or Uncle Yoshiro to be hurt. I'd been contradicting myself.
吉郎おじさんはどうなったか知ってます？
Do you know how Uncle Yoshiro is doing?
いいえ、
No.
したたかな方です。
I'm sure he's alright,
ご無事と思います。
because he's strong.
後で謝られた方がいいでしょ
Even so, you should apologize to him. Okay. I wanted to ask him about Satoshi-kun too. I wondered if he was captured or harassed by the Sonozaki family because of me. But I was hesitant to ask Kasai. After all, I'd chosen Satoshi-kun over them. Was Satoshi-kun alright? I hoped he wouldn't get caught or incarcerated somewhere. I paid the hospital bill. Kasai gave me a ride home. I finally realized that somebody was knocking on my door.
う。シオンさん、
Shion-san.
横になり続けるのもやはり体に毒です。シオンさん、そろそろ体を起こしてください。横になり続けるのもやはり体に毒です。
Shion-san, it's not healthy to sleep so much. It was Kasai. He put some side dishes on the table and we started nibbling at them.
気分は落ち着かれましたか?
How do you feel?
落ち着いたというか、落ち込んだというか。
Depressed? Huh?
この数日間はずっと伏せっていたんですか?
Have you been resting?
食事はされていましたか?
Have you been eating?
冷蔵庫の中の残り物を適当に食べてました。
I've been eating the stuff left in the fridge.
あとは天井を見てるか眠っているかのどっちか。
Otherwise, I've been either sleeping or staring at the ceiling. It had been 3 days. I'd just been lying down since then. Woke up every now and then in my shallow sleep, but I didn't feel like getting up or thinking. I felt like I'd just been floating the whole time. My appetite was gone, but came back with the smell of the food Kasai brought. I wasn't able to think of anything to talk to Kasai about, so I just ate silently.
昨日ミオンさんから連絡がありました。
I got a call from Mion-san yesterday.
シオンさんの部屋に何度か電話したけど出なかったからということで。
She was saying she called you a few times but never got through. The moment I heard Mion's name, I felt my wounds throb. But I didn't stop Kasai, who continued.
園崎本家としてはシオンさんがご自分でけじめをつけられたので、これで決着とするそうです。
Because you paid up, family decided to close the matter.
あの学園には退学届が出されます。
You will officially withdraw from the academy
シオンさんは沖宮の学校に編入になるそうです。
and transfer to a school in Okinomiya.
園崎シオンの人権が認められたってことか。
They're finally acknowledging my right to make my own decisions, huh?
そうですね。
Indeed.
今後は園崎シオンとして生活してくださって構わないそうです。
They said you could live as yourself now, under a few conditions.
ですが、みだりにひなみ沢には近づかないこと。
You will stay away from Hinamazawa.
園崎ミオンを語らないこと。
You won't pretend to be Mion Sonozaki.
人前にみだりに姿を現さないこと。
You won't show up in
他に
public.
も細々とありますが、つまるところ、
You won't show up in public places, and so on. This means
存在を認めてやるから本家に目立つようなことは二度とするなってわけか。
in exchange for acknowledging me, they don't want me to hang around.
そういうことになります。
That's correct.
もちろん永続的なわけじゃありません。
Of course, it is only temporary
ほとぼりが冷めるまで当分ということです。
until things cool down.
具体的にいつまでという期限があるわけではありませんが、今年いっぱいくらいはこれまで通り目立たない生活を送られた方がよろしいかと思います。
There is no set duration, but I think you should stay inconspicuous at least until the end of the year.
私は沖宮でひっそり暮らすだけで十分です。
It'd be good enough to just to live in Okinomiya quietly,
もともとこれまでだってそうして暮らしてきたわけだし。
the way it was before. Kasai put on a sad smile. I smiled back at him likewise. Before the conversation ended, I should ask him what I wanted to know.
サトシ君はどうなったの？
How's Satoshi-kun doing? I wish that Kasai would assure me of his safety right away, but he didn't answer like that.
葛西、
Kasai?
サトシ君は
Is he
無事なの？
Is he alright?
シオンさん、
Shion-san. Kasai put his chopsticks down.
本家から北条聡君のことは忘れろとことづかっています。
The family wants you to forget about him.
何それ？
What?
シオンさん、
Shion-san.
あなたと喧嘩はしたくないんで、これ以上この話はしたくありません。
I don't want to get in an argument with you, so I'll not get into the details.
本家からの言葉を伝えるのみにとどめさせてもらいます。
I'm only relaying to you what the family wants.
何？その話をしたくないってのは。
What are you talking about?
葛西！
What details, Kasai? Kasai pretended as though he didn't hear me and started eating again. I've never seen him get so stubborn like this. The Sonozaki family had been using the Hojo family as a scapegoat. They must have concluded that Sonozaki shouldn't be in love with a Hojo. I didn't like that. Satoko is a friend of Mion's at school. Would it be okay if Satoshi-kun and I were the same gender? Anyway, if I did something conspicuous again, they might do something to him for real. Just like they forced me to remove my own fingernails. The Sonozaki family wouldn't hesitate. They'd torture him if need be. Maybe, if I really loved him, I should stay away. Satoshi-kun won't show up in Okinomiya, unless he rejoins the Hinamazawa fighters. I'd have to pretend to be Mion if I wanted to go to Hinamazawa, but I didn't think she'd cooperate with me. Even if she did, it'd be some time down the road. Even if they told me not to see him. I already had no means of doing that again. Oh, wait. Mion gave me his number a little while ago. I could call him, and maybe ask to meet with him secretly. But if I got caught again, they wouldn't cut me any slack. Should I risk it? What the hell did I even want from Satoshi-kun?
葛西、
Kasai?
ちょっと一人になりたい。
Can I be alone for a moment? So I started putting away his food in a rush, assuming that I wanted him to leave.
あ、いいの。
No, that's not what I meant.
葛西はのんびり食べてて。
Take your time and finish your food.
私がちょっと一人で散歩がしたいだけなの。
I just want to take a walk.
私もシオンさんと一緒に出ないとこの部屋に鍵がかけられません。
You can't lock this place up if I don't step out with you. Kasai quickly put away his meal and followed me out.
先に断っとくけど、別にサトシ君に会いに行くわけじゃないからね。
Did I read that correctly? You can't. Yeah, okay. Just to be clear, I'm not going out to see Satoshi-kun, alright?
わかりました。
I see. I turned around and started walking. My destination was rather pathetic. It was a toy store that sold that giant teddy bear. I couldn't deny that I was somewhat expecting Satoshi-kun to pass by there. Couldn't stop myself from looking at the face that passed by who resembled him. I looked into the store's window. Teddy bear was gone.
サトシ君、おめでとう。
Congrats, Satoshi-kun.
買えたんだね。
Looks like you were able to buy it. His evil aunt had died and his wicked uncle was living with his mistress. Satoshi-kun succeeded in fulfilling his duty as a big brother by buying his little sister that huge teddy bear. There was nobody left to hurt him. He was free from his tiresome efforts. He was completely free from pain. Over time, he'd retrieve his smile, and he'd go back to being the Satoshi-kun I love. But I wouldn't be here, or there with him. I heard a car honking. I didn't think it was honking at me at first, but it was so persistent that I had to look up. The person waving at me from the car was Irie. He was waving at me all carefree, oblivious to my feelings.
園崎さん
Sonozaki-san!
ご無沙汰していますね。
Long time no see.
ひょっとしてサトシ君と待ち合わせでしたか？
Oh, are you meeting up with Hojo-san?
いえ、そういうわけじゃないです。
No, I'm not.
そのおもちゃ屋さんのショーウィンドウはサトシ君もよく覗いていましたからね。
I know he looks in that store's windows all the time.
それでてっきりサトシ君との待ち合わせか何かかなって思っちゃいまして。
So I assumed you were expecting him here or something.
いえ、たまたまここを通りかかっただけです。
No, I'm just passing by.
買えたみたいですね。サトシ君。
Looks like he was able to buy that teddy bear. Irie seemed to know about the teddy bear as well. He smiled upon seeing its empty display space.
昨日がサトコちゃんの誕生日でした。
Yesterday was Satoko-chan's birthday.
きっとあのぬいぐるみでそれをお祝いできたと思います。
He must have celebrated with that teddy bear.
じゃあもうサトシ君は無茶なアルバイトに精を出さなくてもいいわけですね。
He doesn't have to work so hard anymore, huh?
そうですね。
Indeed.
サトシ君ってひなみ沢ファイターズ退部届とか出しちゃったんですか？
Did he turn in his resignation to the Hinamizawa fighters?
そんなもの出てたんですか？
Oh, does that even exist?
私は受け取ってませんよ。
I never received one.
マネージャーの園崎さんは？
Did you, Sonozaki-san?
受け取ってないです。
No, I didn't.
誰も退部届を受け取ってないならまだうちの部員ってことですね。
So, that means he still belongs to the team.
しばらくして生活が落ち着いたらまた戻ってきてくれるんじゃないかなって思ってます。
I think he'll be back after things have settled down.
でもその時に園崎さんがいなかったらきっと悲しむだろうな。
But I know he'll be sad if he doesn't see you there. Irie teased me. He's a grown-up after all. He must have been trying to sound optimistic because he knew I was feeling a bit down.
園崎さんも落ち着いたらいつでもチームに帰ってきてください。
You can come back to the team anytime you want.
あなたがいないとやっぱり寂しいですよ。
Might as well be empty without you.
園崎さんが帰ってきてくれたらぜひ女子マネージャーの制服をメイドさんな格好にしようと思ってまして。
I'm thinking of providing you with a maid costume once you come back. Don't say that, Irie. Please. 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 I burst into laughter. Irie sure hadn't changed.
あ、そうだ。
Oh, I almost forgot.
もう名乗ってもいいんだった。
I can tell you my name now.
監督、今まで騙しててすみません。
Sorry, Coach. I was lying about my identity.
私、ミオンじゃないんです。
I'm not Mion.
シオンっていう双子の妹なんです。
I'm her twin sister, Shion.
訳ありで今までずっとミオンのふりしてきました。
I've been pretending to be her for a few reasons.
え
What?
双子の妹さんですか？
You're Mion-san's twin sister? He was totally taken aback. I burst into laughter again.
そうです。
Yes,
園崎シオンと言います。
I am Shion Sonozaki.
園崎本家に嫌われてるんで、あまり堂々と暮らせる立場じゃないんですけどね。
I'm forced to live quietly because my grandmother hates me, though.
知らなかったですよ。
I never realized.
まさかミオンさんに双子の妹さんがいたなんて。
That Mion-san had a twin sister.
そりゃ全く同感です。
Ah. Same here. No one invited you, Oishi. Jesus. Suddenly a loud voice interrupted us. The voice sounded mean and greasy, unlike Irie's. It was him, Oishi.
入江先生もこんにちは。
Hello, Dr. Irie.
先日は遅くまでありがとうございました。
Thank you for your cooperation last night.
いえ、何もお役に立てませんで。
Don't
申し
men-
訳ないです。
Don't mention it. I wasn't of much help. They were just going through the motions. It was obvious that they hated each other. Irie whispered to me.
私はもうここを離れますが、一緒に車に乗りますか？
I'm leaving now. Do you want to get in my car?
お家まで送りますよ。
I can drive you home. Irie figured that Oishi was after me, so he was giving me a chance to slip away. Looking at Oishi's face, it was clear that his focus was on me, not Irie. He probably intended to interrogate me until my testimony broke. I was sure I could talk my way out of it, but it would just be a waste of time.
そうですね。
Alright,
じゃあ監督、
coach,
そろそろ行きましょうか。
let's get going.
ありゃ、お二人でどちらかにお出かけの途中でしたか？
Oh, are you two going somewhere together?
ええ、
Yes.
チームの夕涼み会用に景品を探しているところだったんです。
We're on our way to get some stuff for the team.
他にも行くお店がたくさんありますので、この辺で私たちは失礼します。
We have to drop by a few places, so will you excuse us? Irie bowed. I followed suit. I had to admire how good he was at lying. He's a grown-up after all. Oishi seemed to know it was a lie, but he didn't have a warrant, so he couldn't stop us. I moved to get into Irie's car.
お怪我は大丈夫なんですか？
How are your wounds?
園崎シオンさん。
Shion Sonozaki-san? I gasped when I heard that. My left hand was bandaged. It was unsightly, so I'd kept it in my pocket. There was no way Oishi could have been able to see it.
可能さえしなきゃきれいに治りますよ。
They'll heal with no problems if they don't get infected.
私も子供の頃は何度か爪を剥いじゃったことがありましたがね。ほら、きれいなもんでしょ
I tore my fingernails off a couple times myself when I was a kid. But look, they look beautiful now, don't they?
う。
No.
男の爪が綺麗でも気色悪いだけです。
Men's fingernails shouldn't look beautiful. That gives me the creeps. Oishi scratched his head and chuckled. He's supposed to be one of the best cops at the Okinawa PD, and he knows about all the underground activities in the region. He must have heard about my payment from somewhere. Still, that happened in the secret basement of the Sonozaki main house. I couldn't underestimate this guy's sources.
お見舞い、感謝感激です。
Thank you for your kind words.
じゃあもう行きますね。
We'll be going now.
失礼します。
Excuse us.
園崎シオンさん、
Shion Sonozaki-san.
私とコーヒーでも飲みに行きません？
Why don't we get coffee together sometime?
はあ？
What?
何それ？私を口説いてんですか？
Are you hitting on me?
そういうことでもいいですよ。
If you like. Not an appropriate response. No.
遠慮します。
Sorry.
1日は有限、24時間。
Time flies.
わざわざ退屈なことに費やすなんて馬鹿げてますから。
I can't waste any of that precious time on things that don't interest me.
もう参ったな。
That was read wonderfully. You got me there.
じゃあこうしましょ
How about this then?
う。私とのおしゃべりが退屈になったらいつでも途中で帰っていいです。
You can leave any time if you get bored of talking to me.
引き止めません。
I won't stop you.
そういう約束でどうです？
How does that sound?
あんたが喋るのは勝手ですが、私は喋りませんよ。
I don't mind you talking, but I won't talk back.
それをおしゃべりと呼べるかは怪しいですが。
I doubt you could call it a conversation.
ねえ、それで結構です。
Yes, that'd be fine.
シオンさんは聞き役で結構です。
You can just listen,
私が勝手に一方的に喋るだけ。
and I'll talk.
あなたはコーヒーでも飲みながら中年親父の独り言を聞き流してくださればそれで結構です。
You could just listen to an old man ramble while sipping on a cup of coffee. He was being strangely persistent. It didn't look like he was trying to poke a hole in my statement. What would he even talk about? I got a bit curious, even though I was still skeptical.
監督、
Coach?
すみません。私、ちょっと大石のおじさまとデートに行こうと思います。
Damn, she's going. I think I'll go with the old man instead.
ミオじゃない。シオンさん？
Yuri's like, please, Shion, as your non-lawyer, please do not go with him. Shion-san. I winked at him and told him not to worry. Irie didn't insist. He got in his car and drove off. Oishi backed his car up so I could get in. I hopped in the back seat since I didn't want to sit next to him.
本当に喫茶店に行くの？
Are we really going to a cafe?
あなたの親類の目がない喫茶店があるなら紹介してもらえると助かるんですがね。
If you could direct me to one with no connection to your family, that'd be great.
チェ。それなら勝手に連行でも何でもすればいい。
Why didn't you just take me to the station then? Oishi carefully checked for oncoming traffic and then started driving. Oishi took me to the police station as I thought he might. If he had taken me to a nice cafe, he would have scored some points. But, whatever.
署の方が都合がいいと思ったから署にしただけです。
I thought it'd be more convenient if we came here.
私の話が退屈になったら帰っていいという約束はもちろん守りますから安心してください。
You can still go home if you get bored.
ま、私を退屈させないように頑張ってくださいな。
Try your best not to bore me then.
署内には腕組んで入ってあげましょうか、おじさま。
Do you want me to go into the station hand in hand with you? Oishi chuckled and got out of the car. He escorted me inside the station. I thought he'd take me to an interrogation room, but instead he took me to an office of the investigation division. Officers in both suits and uniforms were working at their desks, answering phones. There was a desk with a plate that said section manager, and nearby there were couches and a table. And nearby there were some couches. There were couches and a table. Whatever, she told me to sit on the couch and start making some instant coffee. I'd never been to this part of the police station. I looked around in curiosity.
まさか取調室でカツ丼でも食わされると思いました？
Did you think I'd take you to an interrogation room? Oh, she brought over a tray with coffee cups on it.
想像してたより待遇が良くて驚いてます。
You're treating me better than I expected.
三角木馬くらいは覚悟してたのに。
I thought you'd whip me or something.
そういうのは私の趣味じゃないな。
My tastes don't run that way. No.
で、
So?
おしゃべりを聞かせてくれるんじゃなかったでしたっけ？
I thought you wanted to talk.
じゃあ最初からいきなり単刀直入に。
Alright, I'll cut to the chase.
シオンさんって北条聡さんのこと好き？
Are you in love with Satoshi Hojo-san?
はあ？
What?
速攻退屈なんで即帰りますよ。
Instantly. It's getting boring already. I'm going home.
じゃあ今のはなしということで。
No. Okay, please forget that. Oishi must have known why I had to remove my fingernails. He wasn't trying to confirm that I liked Satoshi-kun. What he was really saying was that he knew already.
サトシ君の事件当日のアリバイなら先日熊谷刑事さんに全部お話ししたつもりです。
I already talked to Detective Kumagai about Satoshi-kun's alibi that day.
もちろん 私も熊谷君の調書は読んでます。
Of course. I read Kumagai-kun's report.
あなたがサトシ君と一緒にいたことは知ってます。
I know you were with him.
何度聞かれたって同じ話しかしませんよ私。
I'll just repeat the same statement no matter how many times you ask.
しつこく反復して聞いたらそのうちにボロを出すとか考えてるなら大雨もいいとこです。
Don't think you can poke holes in it.
まさかそんなこと考えてません。
No, that's not what I want.
あなたは頭のいい人です。
You're a smart person.
そんな手に引っかかるなんて思っちゃいません。
I know that wouldn't work for you.
ならどういう手を考えてるやら。
I wonder what you're after.
どちらにせよ私からサトシ君のことを何か聞き出そうとしてもそれは無駄なことです。
You're wasting your time if you want information on Satoshi-kun.
先日お話しした以上のことは何もありません。
There's nothing more to talk about.
ああ残念。やっぱり退屈な話でしたね。
This is boring me after all.
私帰らせてもらいます。
I'm going home,
そういう約束でしたからね。
since that was our agreement.
失礼します。
Excuse me. I got up off the couch.
シオンさん、
Shion-san,
確かに私はあなたからサトシさんのアリバイを聞こうと思っていました。
I did want to get Satoshi-san's alibi from you.
それは認めますよ。
I admit it.
なら決まりです。
That's it then.
やっぱり退屈でした。
It's boring.
帰ります。
I'm going home. I turned around and started walking. Oh, she didn't get anxious, but instead spoke a little louder.
でもね、シオンさん、
But Shion-san,
私が聞きたいのはサトシさんの事件当日のアリバイじゃない。
what I want to ask you about is his alibi for yesterday,
昨日のアリバイなんです。
not the day of the murder.
昨日？なんで昨日のアリバイなんかが聞かれるんですか？
His alibi for yesterday. Excuse me, why?
昨日のサトシ君のアリバイがおばさんが殺された事件とどう関係があるってんです？
What does that have to do with his aunt's death?
昨日、サトシ君が出かけたまま失踪されたからです。
It's because Satoshi-kun has been missing since then. What?
サトシ君が失踪されたことはご存知なかった？
Didn't you know that he went missing? I couldn't say anything, but my expression answered Oishi's question anyway. Remember how earlier when the whole idea about Satoshi like potentially murdering the aunt and then he himself deciding I need to leave? Now I'm starting to think potential for there's a potential there that what the directive is he did that and then either under Oryu's command or potentially Mion if she was able to do it and pull some strings or direct him to. What if what really happened is since this whole thing happened with Shion, then the family was like, we're gonna just banish him. I guess that opens up, like, what I would have thought previously was like, oh, Satoshi himself is like, I'm going to, and all evidence was pointing to, I'm going to murder my aunt and then leave so that I can't get caught, you know, by like the police or whatever. But now I think there's a small wrinkle potential here where it's, he murders the aunt, he sticks around for the birthday, and then the Sonozaki family, again, some part of the Sonozaki family, due to this whole Shion mess, kindly tells Satoshi that he has to fuck off, basically, out of here. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the thing. We're seeing bits of that, like, obviously we're seeing that here, but obviously just the wrinkle, and Kasai almost kind of said it. I mean, not almost said it. He opened up the potential for that being a thing because he's like, oh, well, I'm not supposed to tell you what the family is decided about with, in regards to Satoshi kind of thing. But then it kind of got dropped here because he wasn't going to tell anything to Shion. But I think there's a possibility of that. I don't know if it changes a huge amount where, I mean, I guess if I sat here forever and kind of thought about the ripples that would create, but there would be potentially a difference between Satoshi's plan from the get-go was murder aunt, leave myself, versus murder aunt, and then the Sonozakis are telling me I have to leave. Or probably face repercussions kind of thing from them. Because they already hate me. They already hate my family. And I was hanging out with Shion when she wasn't supposed to be. And if we're going with the whole theme, something about the theme of like, there's like, or maybe I'm just making up this theme, but take a walk with me here while I say this. A big theme that we see, I think at least, that I'm experiencing throughout a lot of these chapters is the immense amount of pressure Mion has to live with being the soon-to-be successor of the family, at certain points making decisions for the family, balancing that heavy aspect of her life versus her as a kid, her child life that she still is attempting to try to hold on to and live and have it be a part of her life, you know? Like the dichotomy between those two things. A lot of pressure is put on her for doing this thing where she has to not only make tough decisions, but dole out punishment and look out for the village and its general well-being kind of thing. There's that versus she's still just a kid going to school, wants to hang out with her friends. And so I think her having to banish Satoshi and having to make that tough decision when she knows that that is the older brother of one of her great friends and a potential love interest for her twin sister. Like, to me, her having to make that potentially, or be a part of at least that kind of like tough decision, would then make sense with me in the grander theme of like, Mion is being forced to do things she would rather not have to be a participant in, yet she has to do it because of just her lineage kind of thing. It would fit in with that whole thing if that's the case, even though if earlier on we thought it was maybe just Satoshi making that decision. But maybe what's being slowly revealed here is that it wasn't his want to leave. And then Mion has to then live with that, you know, once Satoshi does leave because of Shion. That's why then she maybe holds this grudge against Shion. It then further evolves that whole thing of why does Mion so dislike Shion that we saw in earlier chapters. Because Shion forced her hand and made her make the family make the tough choice of doing something that ended up hurting other people that are close to Mion. I'm rambling a bunch, but I'm just getting it out there. I'm speaking my thoughts out, you know? I couldn't say anything, but my expression answered Oishi's question anyway.
どういうことですか?
What's going on?
失踪って
Missing?
何?
What?
やっぱり座ったらどうです？
Why don't you take a seat?
サトシ君が失踪したって。何?
What do you mean? Satoshi-kun has gone missing.
何?
What the hell?
一つ確実に分かっていることは、彼が3時前に沖宮の郵便局で貯金を全額下ろしているということだけです。
We only know one thing for sure. He withdrew all of his savings at an ATM in the Okinomiya post office before 3 p.m. yesterday.
その後の足取りはつかめません。
We don't know his whereabouts after that. I knew why he withdrew that money. He wanted to buy Satoko's birthday present. Yes, he definitely bought that teddy bear yesterday.
これは私の想像ですよ。
Now, the thing that would go against everything I was just literally explaining just a couple of minutes ago, the thing that would go antithesis to that would then be our thoughts from previous chapters, obviously. But also, like, even in this chapter, most recently, it was after Shion had the conversation with Irie about how he was taking jobs, and that's why he wasn't showing up to baseball practice. And she started getting that seed was first getting planted about, like, if it wasn't for Satoko, then I'd be able to hang out with Satoshi more. Then she bumps into Rina, and Ria goes into weird Rina mode, and she started to reinforce it. And she even said, yeah, his plan is he's gonna leave, right? Am I just imagining that? That was a thing. She said that, right? She said that he was saving up, or he implied That he was intentionally saving up money so that he could leave town. She was saying that. I think. There's no way I'm just imagining that. There's no way I'm imagining that. I think that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing. I'm second guessing myself, but no, it's gotta be a thing. This is just my guess.
彼はひょっとしてそのお金でどっか遠くに蒸発したんじゃないかなって。
But I think he skipped town with that money.
逃走資金だってんですか？
You mean he used that money to run away? I mean, I just keep going back to this. So, going with the theory that maybe it was the Sonozaki family and or Mion and or you, or potentially, I mean, if we won't go down this whole path, but what if the evolution was, or you said, hey, Shion did this bad thing, we're going to punish Satoshi. And then what if Mion catches wind of that and she goes, hey, Satoshi, the heat is on, you gotta leave, you gotta skip town or you're gonna get got by my family. And then he had been saving money. Let's say he was saving that money genuinely for that teddy bear. And then she goes, you have to leave town. And then he goes, well, I guess I'm gonna withdraw that money and use that to leave town. I could totally see that being the case too. Or just the directive is, maybe not the punishment thing, but the directive is he has to leave town. He's just a kid. Whatever, we killed his parents. The punishment will be we send him out. She goes to deliver that news to him, something along those lines. And he goes, okay, well, I'm going to take out the money and not buy the teddy bear. You mean you use that money to run away?
バッカバカしい。
That's stupid.
あのお金はね、サトコの誕生日プレゼントを買うためにサトシ君が貯めていたんです。
He was saving to buy Satoko a birthday present.
それであのおもちゃ屋にあったでかくて高いぬいぐるみを買ったんです。
He bought a big expensive teddy bear from that toy store.
逃走に使うお金になんかなるわけないです。
He never used that money to skip town.
確かにあのおもちゃ屋から一番高いぬいぐるみが売れていました。
Yes, the most expensive teddy bear in that toy store was sold.
でもね、それをサトシ君が買った確証が取れないんです。
But we can't confirm that it was Satoshi-kun who bought it.
店の人に聞けばそんなのわかりますって。
Why don't you ask the clerk?
私とサトシ君で買う予約までしてるんですから。
Satoshi-kun and I reserved that teddy bear together. Oh. I had a bad feeling. That old man who was watching that store was sleeping when we were there. He looked very senile. Maybe he was also watching that store on that day, and even though Satoshi-kun bought the teddy bear, he didn't remember. I wish he put on a wry smile. It looked like he'd already tried to question that old man.
とにかく
Anyway,
あれを買ったのはサトシ君なんです。
it's Satoshi-kun who bought that teddy bear.
サトシ君はぬいぐるみの金額ギリギリしかお金がなかったはずだから、
He must have saved just enough to buy it.
ぬいぐるみ代を支払ってさらに逃亡資金を用意できたなんて思えません。
So he shouldn't have been able to run away after.
めちゃめちゃもいいとこです。
That's nonsense.
いいですよ。
Alright.
じゃあサトシ君がぬいぐるみを買ったことでもいいです。
Let's say he really did buy the teddy bear.
じゃあそのぬいぐるみを持ってどうして帰らなかったんですか？
Then why didn't he come home with it? At that point, I felt as though my heart had turned to ice. Satoshi-kun had been working hard to buy that teddy bear even though he was under extreme mental and physical stress. After all that, he finally managed to buy it. It's unthinkable that somebody else just showed up and bought that same teddy bear. The teddy bear was gone because Satoshi-kun bought it. Nobody else. But if so, Satoshi-kun should have given it to Satoko. But though he bought a present for her, he didn't come home. He didn't come home? That wasn't possible. He would have gone straight home with that teddy bear. He wouldn't think of running away after buying the teddy bear. Even though Satoshi-kun wanted to run away from the police, he'd never leave without giving Satoko her present. Anyway, it must have been Satoshi-kun who bought that teddy bear. I can say that with 100% certainty. The question was, why didn't he bring it home? That teddy bear was huge. It wouldn't fit in the basket of a bicycle. He might have brought some straps to tie to his bike. He wouldn't have thought of running away on a wobbly bicycle like that. He necessarily had to go home after buying the teddy bear from the store after withdrawing the money. Nothing could have happened when he was going between the ATM and the toy store. It was impossible. Nobody else could possibly have bought that teddy bear. Never. That teddy bear had been sitting in the showcase up until that day. Everybody could see it when they passed by, but nobody wanted it. It's impossible that it could have been somebody else. There should be no question that he went to the toy store after he withdrew the money. What about the route between the toy store and his home? There shouldn't be any question there either. He shouldn't have been able to do anything with that huge toy. He shouldn't even have thought of making a stop on the way. So he must have headed home, right after he bought that teddy bear. But nobody saw him after that. It was simple then. Satoshi-kun went missing on his way home from the toy store. He went missing? What did that mean? I was sure he killed his aunt. He's not that shrewd. Maybe he couldn't bear the pressure from the police. Was he resigned to the idea that the police were going to arrest him soon, regardless of my help? Did he decide to run away? Did he think that he should disappear until things cooled down, rather than get arrested? That was definitely, absolutely impossible. The one other wrinkle to the whole thing, we could potentially say, again, this builds off of the whole Mion feeling bad, Mion having to, balance her kid life, and then there's also this Sonozaki family life kind of thing. What if Mion, just before anything bad could happen to Satoshi, whether it be police or her own family coming after him, what if she got to him first and just said, hey, you should beat it. I'm giving you an advance warning kind of thing. That's also a potential thing that might have happened. Maybe it wasn't a directive then from the Sonozaki family, but maybe just Mion being like, this is best for you. Is if you just take out that money you have, don't buy the thing for her, and just leave. And that could be maybe even be spurned on by the phone conversation that like Mion and Shion had, where Shion was chewing out Mion for not having the alibi set for him. So maybe in like Mion being like, oh, I feel guilty, kind of. Just a possibility. Just a possibility, That was definitely absolutely impossible. It was impossible that he came to that conclusion on his way home from the toy store. Even if he did, he wouldn't have waited to give Satoko her birthday present. He would have waited, not wouldn't have. Satoshi-kun loved Satoko. He shouldn't have spoiled her like that, but anyway, he always tried to be a good brother to her. So he'd never disappear before going home. I felt as though the ice was cutting through my heart, expanding the frost. If Satoshi-kun did disappear by his own will, the answer was simple. Satoshi-kun disappeared by somebody else's will. What's that?
Satoshi-kun ga
Oh.
消された。
Was Satoshi-kun eliminated? Oh boy.
バカバカしいです。やっぱり退屈な話ですよ、おじさま。
That's really stupid, old man. I thought I could shake off the frost in my heart if I laughed loudly enough. I kept laughing until it happened. I kept laughing and laughing. All the cops in the room stared at me. They thought I'd gone crazy. I didn't care what they thought. I kept laughing until it turned into a cough. A single cough. Cough. I finished laughing and took a sip of lukewarm coffee. I felt as though the frost in my heart spread all throughout my guts. I was chilled to the bone. I was freezing. My fingers shook as I held the coffee cup.
シオンさん、
Shion-san,
ちょっと口を挟まずに聞いててほしいんです。
please listen to me without interrupting.
これから私がちょいと想像した話を申し上げます。
What I'm about to tell you is only a hypothesis. A game hypothesis.
全部でっち上げです。
It's all just a theory. A game.
だからきっとシオンさんはあまりのいい加減な内容に吹き出しちゃいそうになるかもしれません。
You might start laughing in the middle because it may sound ridiculous.
それでも最後まで黙って聞いていてほしいんです。
but I want you to hear me out.
約束してもらえます？
Can you do that?
いや、約束なんて何でもするから
Whatever.
早
Just
く言いなさいよ。
sorry. Whatever. Just talk. I was feeling far too cold. My teeth were chattering. I felt as though my brain had frozen as well. I lost my ability to think. I couldn't do anything by myself. I could only do as Oishi told me. What he was going to tell me might be the worst possible theory, but I had to listen to it.
死んだおばがサトシ君とサトコさんをいじめていたことはよーく聞いています。
I know that Satoshi-kun's and Satoko-san's aunt was abusing them,
中でもサトコさんを執拗にいじめていたこともね。
especially Satoko-san.
その中でサトシ君が妹をかばうためにおばに殺意を募らせていったとしても、
In my opinion, it's normal that Satoshi-kun started thinking about murdering his aunt,
私は人として自然な流れだと思います。
because he was just a human being. I had to deny that Satoshi-kun murdered her, but what Oishi was saying was true. I couldn't deny his hypothesis right away. I just kept silent.
ここからは空想ですよ。
This is only a hypothesis, alright?
絶対に怒らないでください。
Please don't be upset.
口を挟むのもなし。
And no interruptions.
いいですね。
Agreed?
分かってるから
Some music. I know.
早く続けなさいよ。
Just go on.
北条聡はおば殺しを計画し実行した。
Satoshi Hojo planned the murder of his aunt and executed it.
ねえ、もちろん証拠なんてありませんよ。
We have no proof, okay?
全部私の妄想です。
It's all theoretical.
分かってるって。
Alright,
あんたの妄想なのは百も承知。
I heard.
だから早く続けて。
Just keep talking.
ここで話は変わります。
I'll switch the subject now.
シオンさん、
Shion-san,
あなたはサトシ君との交際を禁じられたんですよね。
you were forbidden from having a relationship with Satoshi-kun, weren't you?
もう忘れろ。二度と関わるなと念をされたんですよね。
I told you to stay away from him, correct?
それは実は不仲な両家の関係を意味嫌ったからでなく、殺人犯と園崎家の令嬢が恋仲であることに問題があったんじゃないかと思ったんです。
I believe the reason behind that is not that your family hated the Hojos, but that they didn't like the fact that you were involved with a murder suspect. That is actually possible. After all, when I was pretending to be Mion, I had already a connection with Satoshi-kun. Before anyone knew it was Shion who was spending time around him. I could have been accused when I was helping out the Hinamizawa fighters that the relationship between the Hojos and the Sonozakis was the problem. It wouldn't be difficult for the Sonozaki family to know that Satoshi-kun murdered his aunt if it happened in Hinamizawa. Maybe one of them even saw the murder. The Sonozaki family didn't like that I was in love with a murderer. They decided to step in.
あと、あなた諦めが悪いことでも知られてるんじゃないですか。
Also, you're known to not give up easily, aren't you?
つまり園崎本家にサトシ君との縁を切れと脅されて爪を剥がされても
Which means, even if the Sonozaki family threatened you or ripped off your nails,
サトシ君との縁を切りかねていましたよね。
you still wouldn't cut ties with Satoshi-kun, would you? Couldn't deny that. I lost most of my means to access Hinamizawa, so my ties to Satoshi-kun were essentially cut true. But I still knew Satoshi-kun's phone number, and I expected him to rejoin the Hinamizawa fighters eventually.
園崎本家はサトシ君とあなたの縁はちょっと脅しただけじゃ絶対に切れないと分かっていたと思います。
I believe your family knew that a few threats would never be enough for you to break ties with Satoshi-kun.
あなたをいくら脅してもどうにもならない。
They could threaten you to all they liked to no avail.
じゃあもう一人の方をどうにかするしかないですよね。
So, the only option would be to do something about the other person, wouldn't it?
どうにかって何？
What do you mean, do something?
どうにかって何よ？
What would they do?
何？
What?
何？
What? If threatening me was useless, then they'd do something about Satoshi-kun. What would they have done? If they pulled something, then wouldn't that interrupt his path from the toy store to home? Toy store to home. Toy store to X to home. What's X? What is X? X marks the spot where his path was interrupted. But what interrupted it? Why couldn't Satoshi-kun make it home from the toy store if something interrupted him? Why? What's X? X! X! I ran out of air, became dizzy, and collapsed. The floor felt cold. I felt no pain. I'd fallen to the floor like a plastic doll. Oishi and some others rushed over to me and helped me up.
落ち着いてシオンさん。
Calm down, Shion-san.
サトシ君が殺されたとはまだ限りません。
We're not certain that Satoshi-kun was killed yet. You're not certain he was killed? What the fuck are you talking about? Don't you know about the torture room where they forced me to rip off my fingernails? Don't you know that they say they are prison cells and a well of disposing of corpses in the back? If the Sonozaki family wants to eliminate somebody, they definitely killed them in that torture room and dumped the body down there. You're not certain? Are you dumb? Is your brain made of tofu? If I were in the hag's position, I'd kill him for sure. I wouldn't let him get away. If I would kill him, then the hag would definitely kill him.
シオンさん、落ち着いて。
Did I read that last line right? If I would kill him, then the hag would definitely kill him. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Shion-san, please, calm down.
これはまだ未確認情報ですが、名古屋駅で家出人風の若者を見たという情報が入っています。
This is unconfirmed, but I have information that somebody witnessed a young runaway male at Nagoya Station,
東京行きの新幹線に乗ったそうです。
who took a train from there to Tokyo.
服装の特徴などが一致しませんでしたが、警察の追跡等を意識して衣替えをしている可能性もあります。
The clothes didn't match, but it's possible he changed what he was wearing to hide from the police.
服装が違うからサトシ君でないとは言い切れませんよ。
It's still possible that it was him.
生きてるの？
Is he alive?
サトシ君、
Is he?
生きてる？
ここからもまた私の想像になりますがね。
This is also a theory, but let me go on.
あなたの双子のお姉さんのミヨンさん、
Your twin sister Mion-san.
次期当主ということで、園崎お涼の身近にいますよね。
Is the closest person to Oryu Sonozaki, correct?
園崎お涼は、おそらく最初はサトシ君をこっそり殺してしまおうと提案したと思います。
I'm assuming that Mion-san stopped Oryu
それをあなたのお姉さんが止めたんじゃないかと思うんです。
when she suggested murdering Satoshi-kun furtively. Mion? That was possible. She could have tried to calm things down out of pity for me. That idiot was always so indecisive. She should have been clearer on if she wanted to save him or not. But she probably seemed vague about that. She must have persuaded the hag to reduce the punishment to banishment instead of death, just to avoid feeling guilty.
おそらく園崎本家はサトシ君と接触したでしょう。
I believe that the Sonozaki family contacted Satoshi-kun.
今回の事件はかばいきれない。だから自分の身は自分で守るためにどこかへ姿を隠せと忠告したはずです。
They probably told him that they couldn't cover up the murder and told him to disappear somewhere far away.
いや、強要したと言った方が似合うでしょうね。
They forced him to be more accurate.
サトシ君は絶対拒否すると思います。
Satoshi-kun would have rejected that.
だってあのサトシ君が妹を一人残してひなみ沢を離れられるわけがない。
He would never leave Satoko behind. I apologize, my mind was something else, on something else there for a minute. Let me reread that. She could have tried to calm things down. It was also probably seemed vague about that. She must have persuaded the hag to reduce the punishment to banishment instead of death, just to avoid feeling guilty. Oh, so that's kind of a bit what I was saying there before. I believe the Sonozaki family contacted Satoshi. Probably told him that they couldn't cover up the murder and told him to disappear somewhere far away. Huh. Interesting. Alright, Satoshi-kun would have rejected that. He would never leave Satoko behind.
私もそう思います。
I agree with you.
確かサトシ君は園崎美音さんの紹介でバイトをしてましたよね。
Satoshi-kun was working at the places Mion-san referred him to, wasn't he?
だからサトシ君に逃走資金になるまとまったお金があることを知っていたと思います。
So, family knew that he had enough money for a getaway.
でもサトシ君はそのお金をぬいぐるみを買う以外には絶対に使わないはずです。
But he would never use it for anything other than buying that teddy bear.
でしょうね。
You're right.
サトシ君は貯金を下ろしたら迷うことなくおもちゃ屋に向かうでしょう。
He must have gone straight to the toy store after he withdrew the money.
でももしですよ。
But
サトシ君がおもちゃ屋にたどり着くと、
What if the teddy
も
bear
う
was...
ぬいぐるみが売れてしまっていてなくなっていたら。
What if the teddy bear was already sold when he got there? That would have been a very desolate situation. He'd been working hard. While his aunt abused him, he worked at many different jobs. Money was worth all that pain. He went to the toy store with that money in order to buy his beloved sister a present. That was the only purpose for that money. He must have looked for the teddy bear as he'd always done. But it was gone. He wouldn't have gone into a panic right away, because he was always so optimistic. He might have thought the store was wrapping the gift for him because he told them that he'd pick it up that day. He must have gone into the store joyously. Couldn't guess exactly what happened next. My heart would tear up. If I tried to imagine it anyway. Why didn't they have it? Even though he had it reserved. He had it reserved. Did that old man understand the situation, or was he just zoning out? Maybe it would have been the same even if it wasn't that old man who was at the store at the time. If a bunch of fierce-looking subordinates from the Sonozaki family went in and showed them the money, nobody could have rejected it. Satoshi-kun must have sunk into silence. No matter how hard he complained, Teddy Bear was gone. He probably never even considered that his dream might be taken away. He must have been wobbling his way home in sorrow, leaning on the telephone poles every now and then. It was the day he wanted Satoko to be happy the most. He couldn't get the present she wanted the most. He probably didn't think of getting another gift, because it was unimaginable that he couldn't get that teddy bear. He might have imagined how Satoko would react when he found out he had no present for her. He must have looked unbelievably sad and empty. The money he'd been saving meant nothing anymore. Satoshi-kun never cried, even at his toughest moments. Do you even know how to cry? It was always Satoko who was crying. So, Satoshi-kun never learned how to cry, and he grew up that way. Did you know? People shed sadness from their hearts with tears. Satoshi-kun wasn't even allowed to do that. Even though his heart was filled with sorrow, he couldn't let it out.
妹を一人残してひなみ沢を離れられないと言いましたね。
You insisted you wouldn't leave Satoko-san behind, didn't you?
でももしも
But think,
園崎本家が残った聡子さんの面倒は見るって言ってあったとしたらどう思います？
what if the Sonozaki family told him that they'd look after her after his disappearance? After Satoshi-kun found out the teddy bear was gone, all he had left were some crumpled bills. The family told him it was just a matter of time before the police got to him. They told him to run away. They said they'd take care of Satoko. Satoshi-kun didn't feel like seeing his sister. He wandered, found himself at Okinomiya Station. He must have been apologizing to Satoko so many times in his mind. He swore to come back someday. He headed to Nagoya, and then to Tokyo. But that meant he's alive. He's alive. I should be able to see him again someday. He must be coming back, so I'll definitely see him again.
そうしてずっと遠方に隠れ家か受け入れ先を用意してくれたんじゃないかと思います。
I assume that the Sonozaki family set up some place for him to stay.
サトシ君はそこを目指したのでしょう。
Satoshi-kun must have gone there.
じゃあ無事なんだ。
So, he's safe?
いつか帰ってくるんですよね。
He's coming back someday, right? Oishi looked up at the ceiling and stretched. He didn't answer me. On June 24th, 1982, Satoshi Hojo went missing. There is a possibility that he ran away, as he was the prime suspect of the murder that happened on the 20th of the same month. Allegedly, someone resembling him was seen at Nagoya Station embarking on a train heading to Tokyo, but the truth is unknown. No one has seen him since. As a matter of fact, no one even knows if he's still alive. It's tough. Alright, page 34 here. The information that Sachi-kun might have headed to Tokyo hasn't been verified. Started as follows. A young man came to the lost and found window looking for his wallet. Station employee asked him to write down his name on the form. Then the young man started writing Hojo as his name, but he stopped in the middle, crumpled the form, and wrote a totally different name on another form. Another station employee witnessed a similar looking young man rushing into the train heading to Tokyo. The employee from the lost and found, and the employee who was on the platform, talked about the suspicious young man in the locker room. That was all. The wallet of the man named Hojo was never reported as found to the lost and found office. Strange. At first I thought Oishi's theory that the Sonozaki family banished Sachi-kun from Hinazawa and looked after Satoko in return was bogus. But thinking about it now, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. After all, Satoko Hojo started living with Rika Furude after Sachi-kun's disappearance. Rika Furude isn't just a regular girl. She was the head of the Furude family, one of the 3 families. The head of the Kimiyoshi family is Rika Furude's guardian. The Sonozaki family probably couldn't step in due to having been officially opposed to the Hojo family. But Satoko Hojo is in the custody of the 3 families now. Even though the Hojo family was severely ostracized during the dam conflict, Satoko Hojo was now under protection. It seemed as though only Satoko was exempted from blame. Why was she spared, even though Sachi-kun wasn't? I just want to read. I hate that I'm doing this, but I want to reread the last section there. But Satoko Hojo, due to having been officially opposed, the Sonozaki family probably couldn't step in. But Satoko Hojo is in the custody of 3 families now. Even though the Hojo family was severely ostracized during the dam, Satoko is now under protection. It seems though only Satoko was exempt. Why was she spared, even though Sachi-kun wasn't? Why was Satoko spared, but Satoshi wasn't? So you're saying if this is the case, that they sent Satoshi away, and they took in Satoko in exchange for that, basically, for his agreements. They're saying why? Why is that the case? They're basically saying, well, it's basically saying, well, Satoko has the same familiar ties to the Hojo family and the parents who were for the dam project just as much as Satoshi, so why would we punish? And it's either something super deep to it. The answer to the question is either super deep, or it is as shallow as an answer as what I was kind of insinuating before. Starting to insinuate was that it was Mion. Mion stepped in and said, you know, maybe that's Mion starting to exert more control or more power. Hey, this is my friend. You know, again, balancing the power of the ruling family versus Mion being still a child kind of thing. That seems like a really shallow answer, though. It's like, oh, what's the answer? Why was Satoko spared and not... Oh, it's just because Satoko is Mion's friend, that's all. Shallowish answer. I don't know. I just don't know. Much to ponder. Much to think about. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out for 2 hours here. Again, if you hated the rambling there at the start of the stream, I apologize. If you didn't hate it, good on you. That's all I have to say about that. So yeah, as I said at the start, due to scheduling stuff, I will not be streaming tomorrow. I have work and then stuff after work tomorrow. Thursday is 4th of July, so I have the day off. It's a holiday here in the States, but I might be busy. Like I said, on the off chance I could sneak in like a even if it's some smallish kind of stream, maybe during the afternoon or something, I'll try, but I can't guarantee it. I'll be 100% honest. The only reason I would maybe do it is just because I wouldn't want to do completely 3 days off, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then I also can't stream Friday. The good thing, I don't know if I'd mentioned this the other day, but originally I thought the thing that I'm doing on Friday night was happening Saturday night, and so I was like, oh, I won't be able to do Higurashi Saturday. That's not the case. It's actually happening Friday night as of right now. So I can't stream Friday night because I'm working and then have that thing going on. But that means that Saturday Higurashi should be happening. So if I'm not back Thursday at all, I'll be back Saturday. For at least Higurashi Saturday, if not something also slightly before. Maybe that's even more dependent on if I'm able to stream on Thursday or not. Weird week. It's a holiday week. It's also things scheduled, things happening, kind of throwing everything in a flux. Is that a phrase? I don't know. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Can't wait to read more Higurashi with you. Another stream. But until then, stay safe, stay well. Have a nice rest of your night.